Flamingo Books. Shining English Reader. Series 6. Chapter 2. The Stranger. I tried to imagine if my grandfather would be like my father, tall and strong, or like my mother, short, delicate and talkative. I had forgotten whether he was my paternal or maternal grandfather. Even after searching my mind for early images of my grandfather, I couldn't remember anything about him. We all stood expectantly at the airport, watching the passengers file out into the receiving room. Grandfather's Chinese background made him impossible to miss. Dressed in a traditional blue coat, he walked with the dignity of a general inspecting his troops. His penetrating, black eyes scanned the hall in search of us. My parents rushed to greet him. In an excited voice, my father called out, "Ni hao nu hao. Ni the sin ti canned kai lai hin hao, hello. Are you tired from your trip? You look great." My parents said much more, but I could no longer follow. Grandfather gave us all hugs and kisses. Yet my brothers and I stood apart, wondering what to do, for we had just realized that he spoke only Chinese. Under the frowning eyes of my parents, I said, hesitantly, "Yi ni hao." "Wow," I faltered, trying to remember what I was supposed to say. My grandfather looked first at me, then at my parents. My mother explained that we were as poor in Chinese as he was in English. A month had already passed since grandfather's arrival. On a Friday afternoon, while my brothers were absorbed in their games, I stole a quick glance at my grandfather. He stood rigidly, staring out of a window, his eyes filled with loneliness and frustration. I suddenly remembered the games he had brought for us, Chinese chess and some sort of a beanbag. We had thanked him with our rehearsed she, and made attempts to understand the gifts. Yet even after numerous explanations, the gifts remained beyond comprehension to us. They were symbols of his culture but now lay untouched on the table. Later that day, I sneaked into my grandfather's room. He was dressed in a silk shirt with patterns of colorful Chinese words. He softly hummed a Chinese tune. I studied the expression on his face, serious and somewhat sad. He seemed to be reminiscing, for at one point tears found their way down his weathered cheeks. I gently closed the door, trying to understand what I had seen. A few days later, I found my dad alone, reading an issue of a sports magazine. When he saw me standing near him, he put down his magazine and asked, "Is there something wrong, Jason?" "It's grandfather. I have noticed that you haven't exactly gotten to know each other yet. Why don't you give him and his culture a chance?" "I don't really understand him, Dad." My dad gave a small sigh. "Maybe it will help if I tell you a little more about him. Did you know that he served as a general in the Chinese army during World War II? No? Well, life may be calm for him now, but let me tell you, he's gone through many adventures. In fact, I remember him telling me once about how we escaped from China. I think the year was 1946, right? World War II. Your uncle and I were just babies then. Your grandfather and grandmother put all their money and valuables in our diapers as we rushed to get on a ship before it was too late. Soldiers patrolled everywhere, so we had to be careful. Despite our precautions, the soldiers stopped us about 3 miles from the sea. Yet at that very moment they were distracted by another person, a well-known general they recognized. Almost completely preoccupied with him, the soldiers paid scant attention to us. My parents made a break for it with us and managed to board one of the last ships to Taiwan. They had left their homeland forever, on a journey to Taiwan and an uncertain future. My mood became somber. That night, in bed, I wondered how were father and mother able to become so well adapted to two different cultures. As I dozed off to sleep, a question kept nagging me. Why wasn't I more like my parents? Autumn waned, and soon Christmas was on everyone's mind. What was I to get for my grandfather? I decided on a headset, for I wanted him to have something from the American culture. We gathered around a fire next to our Christmas tree on Christmas Eve and sang Silent Night. Although grandfather had not understood completely the holiday of Christmas, He did his best to sing along. The next morning we opened our gifts with the usual excitement that accompanies Christmas morning. I was wondering what grandfather would think of my gift. After seeing the headset, his face showed a blank. He didn't understand at all. Then my mother came to the rescue. She put in a Chinese tape and showed him how to use it. A wide grin appeared as he listened to his new headset. His eyes glowed bright as he gave me a big hug. This time, I hugged him back. February was the month of the Chinese New Year. Our whole family drove from Naperville to Chinatown in Chicago. The streets were crowded and there were neon lights flashing Chinese characters I couldn't read. Grandfather seemed much at home, pointing here and there and explaining what was going on in the street. A brilliant full moon, symbolizing the new year, showed off its full splendor. As we watched the celebrations, I watched my grandfather again. He was enjoying himself to the fullest, experiencing a culture rich in tradition and customs, a culture that was his own. He turned his head towards me. Finally his eyes locked with mine and we both smiled at the same time.